So today I thought maybe I would introduce a couple of the topics that I notice my clients are asking me the most about right now. There are three top things that they've been really pointing out to me that they've needed support with. One is what to do with all of the news that's coming at us these days. There's a lot going on in the media, and they're giving us so much information about COVID-19, but what do we do about that, and how do we cope with all of that? Another one is needing to get contact with others and communicating with others, and some of the weird things that have come up as a result of COVID-19 and kind of how to deal with those. And then the last one, which is I think related to both of the others, is really about like what happens when we can't sleep. People are having more trouble with that. So let's break it down and go through the top three things that people are noticing are challenging right now. Welcome to the top three things that my clients have said they've been having difficulty with during the COVID-19 isolation period. Just to start off with number three is trying to reduce the noise around the media. So today we'll talk about ways to kind of deal with this problem and how to figure out what reliable sources to focus on. The first thing that I can mention is that I find like there's obviously a lot of stuff that's being put out in the media that you can see on TV, but I think social media is a really big piece of that as well. What I would suggest is really decide which sources are the sources that you want to get news from. So, trying to figure out which are reliable sources and which ones aren't are really, really key to this whole thing. So the first thing that I try to tell people is like pick a couple things that are really reliable sources for you. So some examples of that might be the WHO or the CDC. They're going to give you some information of what's happening globally. Here in Canada, I would suggest maybe following what Trudeau is saying on a daily basis. You could follow his Facebook page, or or even just making sure that you're catching that media release that happens every day around 11 o'clock. And then also the CRA. That's another place to be getting your information from. I think that watching a lot of news daily is actually, I think, more of a problem, especially if we watch the late news, like the 11 o'clock news or the 10 o'clock news or something like that. That puts us in a position where then we're thinking about this stuff before we go to sleep, which is not necessarily helpful and blends into the sleep part of what we have to talk about today. So, reducing that. On a local sense, in Kingston, where I live, we have the KFLNA, which is our local public health, and they do a really great job of releasing content every day that really helps people to kind of stay safe around COVID-19, and also gives you information about what's happening with the assessment center, whether or not we've had cases go up, that sort of thing. That's my cat in the background. She likes to hang out sometimes. So some things like that I think are really good options. So maybe take a look at what you have locally for your public health and just follow that. In terms of kind of like what you're following on social media right now, this is the time to really kind of what I would like to refer to as cultivating your feed. And that is picking and choosing which things you want to be following and which things you want to unfollow. So I go through this on a regular basis. If I notice that there are certain people who are talking about topics that I don't want to listen to, I unfollow them. I might not like unfriend them or not like their page, but I'll unfollow for a period of time. And you can always, if you have to unfollow somebody, you can always refollow them later. So that's something to think about. You also want to think about what kinds of things you're bringing in on a regular basis. So if there are certain ones that are not good for you to be listening to, try and come up with things that are also like good and can bring in some of the positive stuff that you need right now. So I like looking for things that are good news, for example. So one of the things that I've been looking at recently, I've been following the Good News Network for a long time. This is something you can try. There's also Feel Good News, that's another one. But most recently, John Krasinski came out with a little segment that he's doing called Some Good News, which you can follow on YouTube. I think this is really cool because it's giving us an opportunity to see what the good is that's happening amongst all of the bad stuff that we're hearing right now. And that's really important. I hope that this content was helpful for you. I would love to hear feedback in the comments below. You can also reach out to me at my website, which is www.sarahghorsford.com, or you can email me at video@sarahghorsford.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to hearing from you.